Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ryan here. It's the 2nd of December. It's the Champman Super League Round 6, and we are live. Delighted to say that I've got the head of the Yorkshire Cartel with me this evening. Hodgie, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Good, thank you. Hope you're well yourself, and all the managers keeping himself well.
Yeah. How have you been doing this season then? A draw to start off, then a 3-0 defeat, two 3-0 victories, and a 3-1 defeat.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
think.
satisfied with your start?
Yeah. A bit disappointed with last week. To be fair, we never really turned up. To be fair, when Nesta scored just before half time, I thought we might be able to kick on, but second half performance were poor. But we've had a couple of good wins. The draw against Boston, I was a little disappointed with at the time, but as things have gone on and they're where they are, it's not such a bad point. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they've had a
it's
really good start, haven't they?
yeah.
Would you class obviously they're the highest performing of the new boys as far as league position, but who do you fancy out of the new boys to do the best this season?
Um, probably Greavesy. Looking at how things have gone. If I'm being totally honest, I'd seen a lot of in the blog at the start. A lot of people were fancying that they'd finish bottom. And when we played them the first game, I looked at the team, they're 11, and I thought, well, to be fair, that's a lot stronger than I were expecting, given where people had them. I don't know whether maybe their squad's a bit thinner, behind that 11, but it's decent enough 11. And to be unbeaten in your first five, or to be unbeaten in five, however long you've been here, is impressive. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that they seem to be the ones at the minute.
yeah. For me, they've got a really solid goalkeeper. Obviously, Cannavaro, one of the best in the league, and it's a really kind of really strong core. I'm not convinced about Contra over Mars. Lopez, I could kind of take the lead, but I think they've got them two up front who can score goals. But I think that little four, and even when he swaps one of the two defensive midfielders with Kaladza, I think um, that's a really kind of solid core, which would be hard to break down for any team.
Yeah,
Um,
there's plenty of experience in there, which is I think what gets overlooked sometimes. On your home saves, you buy a load of young players, fire through the first couple of seasons, and then they're ready. But I think you can underestimate sometimes just how handy it can be to have the older heads in the Super League.
um, so yeah, I completely agree. So we're on Wednesday, the 7th of November in the game. It's just 4 days since the last round. Um, you've got Northern Burn tonight. Are you feeling confident?
Um, well, we're unbeaten at home. It's probably going to be a draw, isn't it? Going on their recent form, they seem to draw most games, but I think it'll be a tough game. But honestly, I think wherever you're playing, it's a tough game at the minute. There's not a split in the table yet. It's it's pretty level playing field at the minute.
I know kind of pre-season you were kind of maybe not say less than thrilled about how you squad. I know you mentioned midweek that if you could have your pick of the marquee players, you wouldn't have picked Nesta. Um, I have to say, are you generally happy with your squad? Do you feel confident you can make the top six?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think we'll be going for the six. To be honest, I
That's where
weren't
you are now.
partic- yeah, I weren't particularly happy with the strikers that we got. I thought we were DMCs. We were a bit weak. We got Donati drawn as a DMC, who's an MC. So we just used a transfer window. We brought Morientes and Montella in, and Sorochinsky and Vogel in. So
And
we
then you
had
obviously got
places.
Volodenkov in that last minute draw as well. So you mean I think you did quite good business overall. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Montella. Did wonders for me last season. So, but
Yeah,
I don't think he starts for you tonight.
no, he's had a couple. Well, it's not so much how he's played himself. It's how Morientes has played in his absence, and I think he's had an 8 and a 9. I seen he scored a goal, so um, he's back in tonight because Montella's as flattered to deceive in the first two games he's had, but I'm not booting him out or anything like that. It's just as a guy who's in a little bit of form, it seems a bit daft to keep him on the bench for a second week.
Right. What we've got on screen are the fixtures for tonight. What I've got open on Google, which none of you can see, is a kind of random number generator between 1 and 6, and I'm going to kind of just randomize it now. And we're going to start the night with number 3, which is Churchtown versus Dudley. Right, let's do this, see if I can get this right. Da-da-da. Churchtown, Dudley, have you been impressed with either of those so far?
No, not stand out. I don't think. I don't know if Kieran sort of he's easily sort of made the top 6 in the last few seasons, and maybe he's just sort of thought I'm going to run with what I've got a little bit. Look at his side tonight. Nuno Gomez, Cisse, they're not particularly standout strikers. Yeah, he's sort of going back to his old Churchtown throw the kitchen sink at it tactic, but has he got the players that he did have last time? I'm not so sure. I think they'll rely heavily on Neymar and obviously Mr. Lopez up front.
Mr. Lopez, the anonymous Mr. Lopez, who's a league top goal scorer so far. Have you got access to the chat, Hodgie? I was wondering if you can see there's quite a few comments coming in.
I haven't got access to the chat. No, I can get that on. I'll be able to get that onto me.
I'll have to try and
Onto the
work it
TV
out.
screen. Yeah, I'll get that.
Right, I don't think Kieran's in the chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue. And that should take us to Steve. If Steve can quickly jump in and confirm his team for me, that'd be great. He's gone with a kind of a 2-3-2-1-2 this week, and only spoke in his video where he was dressed up very nice about Ronaldo and Viduka up top. You can see on screen there he's gone with Robin in centre midfield. Is that something you'd like?
I had Robin at SLF and I couldn't get a tune out of him, if I'm honest. So it's an unusual selection, but I don't see where else you can really fit him into that formation. If that's how he's going to play, and he wants Robin to play, I suppose he could play AMC. I suppose he could play in the hall. It's a tried and tested Super League tactic. We've seen it many times over. He's got the little Tiago arrow from Totti there up to the AMC.
Yeah, he just mentioned that in the chat. That's why he's put that on
Yeah,
there.
I'm not getting the chat on actually.
No, I know you had issues with it last week. I'll try and read out the interesting ones. I mean, so far it's all been pretty much drivel, so I don't want to bore you with it. A couple of
Yeah.
mentions to Stolakovic from Wooder there in the second midfield. Absolutely loves it there. You like her? Are you a fan of Stolakovic? Is he Super League material?
Yeah, I wouldn't be putting him in my team personally,
Right.
if I'm honest. But there's always that sort of like Kennedy. We've seen it with Kennedy that he can get goals. Players like that can score in this league. So I don't want to slag him off too much because Kieran will probably be after me when he starts getting a couple of goals tonight.
Oh, Steve, mate. I think he is. He's playing for Steve. He's also brought in the last thing I was mentioned. He's brought in Thomas Linker, who I think he's making his Super League debut. Or starts at Bayern, solid player. But is he a player you're familiar with?
Yeah. Thomas Linker's a steady away centre half first couple of seasons. He's got the big numbers in all the right places. So yeah, he should do all right there. Obviously, at the side of Tony Adams, it's an aging centre half partnership, but there's plenty of experience in there.
Definitely. Any predictions for this one, mate?
I'm going to go away win.
Away win, Dudley Hill. Dimble's joining you 2-1 to Dudley Hill. Jens is going 2-2. I think we'll kick off this. I know we're always running late. Solakovic goal and assist, says Wooder. 3-1 says Duggan. 4-2 says Mr. Joe Palmer. And Fifey's going for a Desmond. Right, let's kick this off and see what we get. Looks like Dudley Hill started quickly, but kind of going both ways at the moment. But there's Mark Viduka after just 8 minutes, putting the ball in the back of the net. Then we flashed on to 25 minutes. It looks like Churchtown coming back into it. Linker there getting booked. And
Just floored by that.
Yave
There he is. There he is.
There he is. We knew Selakovic were going to get a goal after the discussion pre-game. I think that was an assist from Arca, but we'll check that at half-time. It looks like a lot of Dudley Hill, if I'm being honest. And that makes it 3-0 before half-time. Looking, it's just the kind of response that Steve were after his defeat last time out. But Churchtown looked like they fired one back, but that was not chalked off. A quick look at how the goals went in. Ronaldo found Viduka in the area. Nice simple one there. Arca got the ball into far post. Selakovic trapped and right-footed strike in the back of the net. And Selakovic shot parried away by Lehman and Ronaldo puts it in. And then it looks like Madeira had a shot and it was a rebound where Nakata was offside, or Madeira was offside, should I say. One shot on target for Churchtown, 6 for Dudley. Possession has been more Churchtown, and it's been pretty much 50-50. How do you rate that first half?
Yeah, that's so I know it was more at home that Steve had been saying he weren't taking his chances, but they've stepped up there for him. 6 shots all on target, 50% conversion rate. It's other than the myth that is Francesco Totti, everyone's stepping up and having a good game there. He'll be happy. Just probably keep an eye on Edgar Davids with that yellow card, because he's liable for another one in second 45. But no, I don't think there'll be anything he'll be complaining about there.
I know he's had a lot of interest for Totti. I'd be interested in that. Do you mean when you're 3-0 up, are you paying so much attention to that 6? Or is he being marked by 2 men really? Was that the issue?
Nah, it's just rubbish, mate. I'm telling you, I've had him before, and I've tried him everywhere, everything, every instruction, and he don't do it. Even the bloody professor himself couldn't really get that much out of him, could he, at Valen?
No, I think he had obviously a marquee squad, and he was probably one of the bigger names who he talks up a lot, but then didn't really get too much out of. Just looking quickly at Churchtown's ratings for that first half, and it's a bit of a disaster, really. Only Zanetti and to an extent DiBiagio kind of saving it. It's not like we see a lot from away teams not getting home teams not getting too much of the ball in the first half, but they've had the ball, but they've not really done too much with it. Looking at Dudley, they've had less of the ball, but they've done all the work. So yeah, interesting first half.
We see this quite a lot, don't we? Just teams not really having much at ball.
No, I think it's a lot. I think it's part of the home team having short passing on, which may kind of prevent the away team getting the ball. It always seems to kind of open up a little bit more in the second half. Right, it's 3-0 at half time. I'll kick the second half off, see where we go from here. Looks like we'll. Oh, God, I'm going to pause this quickly and see if any of them need any half time subs. Do apologise for that. Gallardo for Totti, please. Just saying that. So as soon as that goes out of play, and I've not seen Kieran yet, but please put a half time sub in there if you are in the chat, mate. Right, that's luckily only taken a minute, and Totti's coming off for Gallardo. That's fine. 666, resume match. How are we getting on here? Still looks like it's a little bit in Dudley Hill's favour. Quite a slower start, and there's Pablo Aimar getting one back. It would be a bit of a turnaround if Churchtown got one back in here. Cisse had an effort there, and the cart. It looks like Churchtown definitely coming into it.
It's always a dangerous time to concede that in 10 minutes. 10 minutes into the second half, it always starts getting you a little bit worried.
Yeah, it looks like it's all over now. Though 5 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go. They haven't managed to get that second one in. No red cards or injuries to deal with in this game. Quite a lot happening towards the end, and that's the final whistle, and it has finished 3-1. Definitely looked like Churchtown came into it a bit more.
Yeah, they had a go in second half there, didn't they? You can't knock them for that. They had a go, but Dudley held the old heads at the back. They held steady, and good result that away from home. I think any result away from home, any win away from home in this league is massive. But yeah, decent
It's just this
decent
one about
record.
my thing about. I know you said Totti's crap, but as soon as they've taken Totti off Rock Gallardo on just gone half time, then Church trying to come back into it. Do you read much into that, or is am I talking at my arse when I say that?
I won't go as far as saying that, mate. But no, I don't think it's anything to do with Totti coming off because he did pretty much nothing anyway. So
Yeah,
there wasn't much to be missed in that from that first half performance by him. I don't think.
I always wonder whether he's taking up two men and he's obviously getting marked out of the game and then
Yeah,
taking
possibly.
someone else.
Yeah,
The goal for Churchtown, Nakata played it to Aymar, who took it past Adams and put it in. Beyond that, I didn't really see anything look like it was, what do you call it, going to basically change the game and upset the apple cart, as they say. Zanetti getting man of the match, even though Churchtown got beat 3-1. A few players came back into it. Lehman didn't have the best game, but I think overall, I think Kieran will be happy with Churchtown's second half, but they kind of give the game away in the first half. Quick look over at Dudley Hill. Do you want to talk us through that, Haji?
yeah. I mean, it's a solid performance again. Pretty much more of what they're giving in the first half, really. Still be happy with that. There's no standout amazing performances, but it's a very solid team performance away from home there, and 3 points. I'm sure he'll be delighted with that.
Right. Quickly look on my little Google. Number two, which is Bostock Stanley versus Gazelles. And I think someone asked me before which was my game of the evening. I think this is up there. I think this is a potential for a big one. Let's have a look at Bostock. I don't know if I've seen Scott. Yes, Scott's in there. Scott, do you want to confirm your lineup there? What do you make of Bostock, Haji?
Um, they've they've got they've got some good players in there. Some players I really like. Samuel Eto'o would be the one that stands out to me. He seems to get a game most weeks, and he's very young, isn't he, at the start of the game. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe myself probably wouldn't go with Eto'o. Riquelme is, if you can get him going, which Scott seems to have got a bit of a tune out of him. Obviously, Mac did last year. A very important player. But just that little triangle of left defensive players, Maldini, Milevski, and Lizarazu is very solid.
Yeah. Keep talking, mate. I just spilled a drink all over myself. So.
Oh, all right, no problem. But obviously, the right hand side triangle for me is not as strong. Lasisi, I'm a big fan of Lasisi, but Tudor in the DMC, I'm not a massive fan, and Casterman, I'm not big fan of him. But I think when you look at his side, it's all set up just to, for Vieira to get goals. If he can get the ball to Vieira and Vieira can start scoring, they'll really get going. But if Vieira doesn't score, you maybe look and think, where did the goals come from? Because Joe Cole's not a massive goal scorer for an AMC, and I'm not fancying Eto'o. I think it's maybe a little bit too early for him.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Really sorry about that, mate. Yeah, Vieri got 1 in 5 so far. I'm really hoping that the bottom half of my keyboard continues to work. He is. Scott says that's all good. Let's continue the game. Continue down set piece taker. Da-da-da. Okay, I think that's fine actually. He's got the second one set up. Gazelles, I've not seen Craig so far in the chat, but he's gone for something different this week. Obviously, got that solid backline with Landreau, Ferdinand, Lucio. I think he's got beat by that 4-1-3-2, so he's gone for a version of it this week. But I think it suits the players, if I'm being honest. Obviously, Cafu and Dede in the best positions. He's got Raul and Clive up top, who kind of would be traditional strikers. Michael Ballack gets a start. One for you.
I've not had much to do with Michael Ballack, in all fairness, to be honest with you. I think he's one of those players who I think there's certain players on the game. I think like Titus Bramble's a big one because Titus Bramble was shit in real life. he gets an hard thing on the game. Oh shit! Whereas actually he's pretty decent, and I think it works both ways. In that, for me, Zidane's not. He's nowhere near what he was in real life, but people think, oh, Zidane, he must be great playing. And I don't know if Balak's a little bit like that. I don't think he quite in the game he was ever quite given the stats maybe he deserved. Maybe it was a little bit early for him.
Yeah, I think Balak for myself. I don't know if you've ever played the .68 update, but Balak and the other one I mentioned, Owen Hargreaves, are completely different players. Where they're on this game, they're all right. If you kind of move on to any of the updates, they do become world class. But
Yeah, I've not
I completely
played a
agree
lot of
with you.
6-8.
He's not the one. Right, let's get into this game. Any predictions from here, mate?
Yeah, I'll go Bostock. And then that way I backed all the Yorkshire Cartel early doors and we're all done and finished that way.
No worries. So, Bostock, any absolute fulcrum is Raquelme from Maka. Lover number 13, who isn't a goalkeeper, Palmer. Jens is going 2-1 to Bostock. Alf going one apiece. I'm not seeing any others there. Wood is saying Gazelles win, as is Dimble. Right, let's kick it off and see how we go. And it looks like Bostock have started the best, but it's going both ways. Rayul has a shot needlessly over to the bar. Joe Cole creating things. There's Balak, who was mentioned pre-game, and Figo. Looks like Gazelle's definitely coming into it a bit more now after 24 minutes.
What
Cafu
do you
goal.
think to that? What do you think to that backwards arrow on Raul?
Oh, for me, I was my understanding of things. It's something that the computer does a lot, but it's when you're in possession, that's the position they'll take up. That means that if they're in possession, he's kind of going to be pressing their back line, trying to win the ball. Yeah, when Gazelles are in possession, then he's kind of coming short.
See,
So,
I thought it was the other way around. I thought the forward arrows were where he'll be when you have the ball, and the backwards arrows will be where. So, for example, when you're attacking, Raul will be up front. When Bostock are in possession, Raul will drop in there. That's how I was always understood to believe it, but
well,
I don't do
sure,
backwards arrows.
I'm sure that we'll get told in the comments it's out of possession. Hodges right. So, yeah, obviously, it's something I didn't know.
Yeah, it's something that I don't use it myself. I think probably a 13-year-old me's maybe been reading the manual when I got the game, and it's something that's just stuck with me.
Obviously, I've not seen Craig. Yes, I have. No, no, that's Craig Duggan. I've not seen Craig Trudgill in the comments. I have seen Scott, so I'm just seeing if he wants any halftime subs. A bit of a miserable first half. 6 shots off target for Bostock, 2 shots off target for Gazelles. Pretty much flat, or pretty much exactly flat for what do you call it, for possession and action areas. Nothing to look at in that. I'll quickly look at Bostock first so we can have a look at his team before he makes a decision on subs. Tudor getting the 8 apart from 96s and 7s. Looks like Joe Cole and Vieri not really having that much of a positive impact. Neither is Riquelme or Eto, who you mentioned pre-game. Defensively solid, which we can kind of take from the fact that no shots have been on target for our side. Scott's going with no changes. Do you want to talk us through Gazelle's first half, mate?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to really to Bostock. To be fair, pretty flat. Cafu putting in his 8 like he always does, and Jeremy's there's this sort of generous 8 maybe there because he's not. Well, I suppose he's only made it only just over half of his tackles, one key tackle. Maybe a bit of a generous 8 in there with a yellow card, but yeah, there's not much to talk about there. Is I think two teams just cancelled themselves out. Maybe a little bit of a nervy first half.
Yeah, I just remember the obviously they had the game against Haggis, which was a bit of a slobber knocker at Bostock, but then the game before that was a bit boring against PR Greaves'
Yeah.
Locomotive Boston. Is there any kind of truth in the kind of the boring Bostock, or do you not go in for that?
Well, I was boring Ardsley last year, and boring Ardsley came third. So I think Scott will take boring Bostock if you can keep pinching points. And they've got a goal there.
And as you said that, Joe Cole, who on a six in the first half, has put one in, and then as Christian Vieri, it looks like Bostock have come to life in the second half. 65 minutes gone. It looks like Bostock all the way here, but as I say that, Clive has a go. And yes, and there's Lassisi, unlikeliest of scorers. What a second half this has been for Bostock. Definitely not boring Bostock. I'll take my medicine there after that one.
Yeah,
87 minutes gone. Looks like it's only going one way. This.
I must have been very disappointed with Gazelles. They were my pick.
Yeah, it's
They
not
really
worked for
were.
them, has it? And you look
No.
at that second half there, 5 shots on target, a few more off target for Bostock, whereas Gazelles have had a couple on target, a couple off target, but yeah, more possession and more in the right action areas for Bostock. Let's have a quick look at the goals. And we have got, looks like a long dribble move. Yeah, absolutely great solo goal from Joe Cole. Mileski cross into the ball for Vieri. And Riquelme corner with Lassisi climbing above Lucio. They're not expected. Gazelles, not the best second half. Jeremy's been the only standout. Cafu dropping down to a 7 after having an 8 at half time. Sixes from the lads up top, just not working. That backwards arrow we talked about pre-game, not working at all. You want me to talk about the victorious Bostock? What a performance that is!
Yeah, that's a fantastic second half, and also, I mean, Scott will be delighted because it's a massive response to because it was the second half against Haggis that they really got it sort of stuck up them a little bit, but yeah, he'll be delighted with that response. You got Tudor, who was slagged off at the start of the game, man of the match. Eight's
Yes,
pretty much all over. A couple of nines, odd seven. So yeah, he'll be over the moon with that one.
absolutely over the moon. I think that's one of my trademarked set lines, that mate. But yeah, Igor Tudor, 6 out of 8 tackles won, 3 of them key. So it looks like he's been kind of keeping that door shut, which is obviously key when you're playing a team with the kind of talents that Gazelles have. Right,
Yeah.
moving swiftly on, and let's use my little randomizer. Where's the next match? And we are number 4. Who's number 4? Dragons. Mr. Hopkins. Not just Mr. Hopkins, but Mr. Duggan um, and yeah, someone else as well. Wooder, of course. How could I forget? Um, Dragons Destroyers number 2. I think whoever was picking the team this week was pressured into putting Salva in, but stuck to the guns and really likes the look of Constantino up top. Only scored a 6.75 and got 1 in the 4 games so far. What do you think? What do you make of Dragons, mate?
Well, these two between them, they must have about 14 seasons of Super League experience between them, and I don't think either of them have ever made the playoffs. Which is yeah. So, but this is definitely the strongest Mr. Hopkins side while I've been involved. The goalkeeper, obviously, season 1, we all know what Oliver Kahn can do. I'm a big fan of Boomer. I'm a big fan of Saeed. I like Boya. I like Nedved. Constantino really should just have to be a second striker to Batistuta. Batistuta, you'd fancy being the one getting the bulk of the goals up there. And even the bench, El Guerrero's not a bad player. Seedorf's a good player, and the fella you've just clicked on looks pretty handy, to be fair.
Yeah, obviously he's attracted a bit of interest from his reserve performances, which I know aren't public, which we've published in the kind of in our kind of group. He's got an 8.25 average, 7 goals in 4 games in the reserves. Attractive interest in other managers, and obviously Jamie's noticed that and brought him up to the 15 squad. I think Jamie, if he had his way, would have started him this week, but I think he was overruled by the tail wagging the dog. So yeah, let's see if he gets on and if he gets a game. I think anyone that's unhappy that you might see are only unhappy because of contract issues. And we move to Mr. Fife, who I believe has gone pretty much unchanged. If he can confirm that before I click continue, but he obviously had a good result last time out against yourselves.
Yeah, and I I don't mean to be harsh on Fife here, but I think if another manager has this squad, they're probably favourites to win it. I'm looking at that side now. There's not really a weak player in it. Bruging's hit and miss, but he has goals previously in Super League. I don't like Harry Kewell, but that's personal. That's nothing to do with how he plays in the game. It's a very, very solid 11. The
Completely agree
bench
with you.
is,
I'm being honest, mate.
yeah,
Obviously, he's obviously Montero. Sometimes he's, although he's absolutely quality, sometimes be a liability when it comes to a yellow card or a red card. He's playing alongside Wes Brown, who I still think is probably better than Jons Novotny. I kind of
yeah.
agree with that. As much as I do like Fifey, I think they're the biggest weak link in this team is probably the manager. Obviously, yeah, I was Ronaldinho and Harry Kewell and even Mpenza obviously proving the Super League. So we'll see if he can keep his best 11 fit and playing. Then I think they'll do well. If he keeps chopping and changing, and Richard Wright plays more than 5 or 6 games this season, then I think it'll say a lot about how Fifey and how Fifey and Swindon will get on. I think you'll find
He's,
that the other co-chairman is the impartial one. I'm definitely not impartial when it comes to this. Um, have you got any favourites for this? Any predictions, gents?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for Fifey.
You're going to go
Fifey
for
to win.
Fifey.
2 on the bounce for the first time that I've ever remembered.
Right, Edwards is joining you with an away win. Let's see if anyone else puts any comments on predictions in. It looks like Scott's agreeing with you as well, going for Devils win. Dimble's going 2-2. Alf Bridge saying 2-1 to the Devils. Not many people fancying a home win. Greavesy going for a Desmond.
Well,
Um,
I think they're very similar setups, but I just think Fifey has the better players.
yeah,
And I
Wooder
think he
and
has the better players than most managers in the league. Looking at this,
yeah, Wooder and Duggan have gone very, very quiet since we've put the Devils team up on screen. And we kick off, and it looks like Devils straight away. I've seen Oliver Kahn's name mentioned a few times. Um, Ronaldinho up there now, but there's Bowman coming down the left hand side. Shots there for Batistuta, and it's Lee Bowyer who breaks the deadlock after 13 minutes. But Mpenza fires right back after 90 minutes to make it one apiece. So had a few goals so far tonight, which is nice. And Taribo has put Dragons back in front, not something that we expected from Big Taribo. Um, but again, Emil Mpenza, what a first half this has been.
end to end,
Whoa,
hat
and
trick.
that's a hat trick already, and that's 3-3 already. What a game we're having here. Oh my God. Harry Kewell hitting the upright. I couldn't even keep up with that then.
The 20
Um,
minute hat trick there, isn't it? 20-minute hat trick from Mpenza is pretty impressive.
it is definitely. And it's the yellow card for Bowyer, and that is half time, and I can finally take a breath. And that is what the definition of end to end stuff. 5 on target, 3 goals for both teams. Looks like it's been very much in the Dragons' end when you look at the action zones, and Devils have had slightly more possession. I'll have a quick glance over there. The goals have gone in. Batistuta heads the ball down for Bowyer. Emerson puts a free kick in from Penza. Yakuba, just out of nowhere, West picks it up and bangs it in. Oliver Kahn straight up to Mpenza, who picks it up. Kewell above said, Kewell knocks it in the box. Mpenza got above said, and then Z Elias out of nowhere. What a first half, mate.
Yeah, we've waited a while for one of these, haven't we? The first half like that. Yeah, it looks like the goalkeepers are letting the sides down. I think if one of them turns up, their side's probably winning quite handsomely at half time, but it seems as though they're both having an off day.
Yeah, kind of a quick look at Devils. Obviously, Emil Mpenza, who's got a yellow card, but apart from that, has been pretty much flawless. 5 headers, won. 3 shots on target, 3 goals. What a performance that has been. And yeah, Kieran Dyer doing some bits. The assist coming from Kewell Emerson, as we mentioned. Frey with the 5, Montero only getting the 6 has been the main issue there. A quick look over at Dragons, and it looks, considering they scored 3 goals, it looks like the forward players are having a bit of a quieter day. Nedved, Boya, Constantinu on a 6. Obviously, we expected Oliver Kahn to be doing not the best. It doesn't look like Dragons have had much possession. Definitely not what you'd expect from the home team.
No, obviously Lee Boyer's the furthest player forward with a goal. Nedved's having a quiet game, not getting much up to Constantine. Mind you, Batistuta not. He's putting in an 8, but it's a very generous 8. I think looking at them stats, won a couple of headers, I suppose.
Yep. Fifey's putting Janino on for Brugging. I'm just waiting for anything from Wooder. Fuck it, Salva on. Who's Salva coming on for?
Surely Constantine, who you'd think now, do you know?
You'd assume so, but I'm just gonna wait. Fuck it, what Salva? Come on, Wooder, give me a reply, mate, and then I can kick off the second half. Constant, there we are. Salva getting on is for his Super League debut onside Batistuta, and in probably the game of the season so far. And it looks like it might continue that way straight into the action. And Ibrahim Said has picked up a knock. The obvious one there is probably Ivan Helguera in defensive midfield, but I'll wait for confirmation again from Wooder. I think that's the only thing that you do there, isn't it? Unless
you'd think so there.
Yeah, he's give us a thumbs up. So Helguera comes on for Said. Depending on who you ask, that might be an improvement or a much kind of a downgrade. Looks
I think
like
there'll be different opinions on that in the commentary box tonight.
yeah. Salva there having an effort. I did notice Helguera on the ball, but it's Barry Ferguson, and the goals
Barry.
continue. Big Barry puts Devils the OS side up. It looks like 87 minutes gone, and Penza has a chance there. Last chance saloon here for Dragons. And no, they've not got the equaliser. And what a victory for Fifey and his Devils. Maybe on the slight balance of the second half played, undeserved one, you could say. Dragons looked like they had a little bit more of it in the second half, considering how they were in the first. Have a quick look at how that goal went in. Juninho, who brought on at half time, went across from the right, and Ferguson collects and blasts in the top corner. I mean, Fifey's going to be jumping around the room again, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Great performance again. Going away from home, scoring 4 goals, 3 points on the board. Your centre forward puts in a near enough faultless performance. He's not much to argue with there, is there? He'll be squealing his way around his living room, like you say.
Yeah, the comment from Fifey is, "Who's getting effing bummed now?" Boom. And Dimbo says it's the best manager in Swindon. Palmer saying you take your tie off now, Fifey. Quick glance over at the Dragons' performance, and again, it's Oliver Kahn who's gone from a 6 down to a 5. Zia Elias playing well, and as is Taribo, but it's probably Pavel Nedved who had a sterling season last time out. Salva not really having any shots on after he's come on off the bench, but not that. Constantini was very, very similar.
Yeah.
I
They've
mean,
probably picked up a little bit there in that second half, in fairness to them. Apart from
yeah, but
Oliver
looking at the
Kahn's
shots
dropped
I've
off.
seen, the shots coming from Lee Boyer, Wilfred Boehmer, obviously Batistuta's in there, and obviously Taribo as well. Nev had 3 shots off target. You'd expect the other strikers, though. I mean, in 90 minutes in that right-hand side striker role, with no shots for Constantino or Salva, which were disappointing. Quite happy with Helguera coming on for an 8, especially if Said's going to be out injured. Palmer giving some compliments to Fifey, brave formation, doing stuff differently. Wooder complaining that Mark Kerr wasn't involved, and obviously Hopkins is getting the blame. Right, let's move on, and I'll do this random one again. Fixtures. And number 4, we've already had number 4. We're going to go number 5, which is to Macca's Fulchester. If Mac is in the comments, I think I saw his name before. Mac has gone very attacking this week. What do you think, Hodgie?
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? It's pretty much what we're playing.
It's
Bar
181.
he's shoved Veron into central midfield rather than playing the 3 DMCs. From my experience of playing a formation like this, you either win well or you get beat well. He's up against Sloths who just seem to go for it pretty much. So, be an interesting game. Be a very interesting game. This. For me, he's doing very well because he's got a few players in there who I really don't rate. Centre half, I'm not a massive fan of. Makalele is another one of them who you hear the name called Makalele and you think he's brilliant. I don't think he was quite as good on the game as he turned out to be.
I know
Orkan,
Mac is a big fan
suppose.
of players who are good in real life. I know he's not a huge fan of these myth players. Um, he's doing his little myth World Cup at the moment.
Yeah, but even aside from that, you could get a player. I mean, who did he swap Makalele for? I seem to remember that being a bit of a
I think he was in the
high
Haggis
deal.
deal with it. I'm not too sure exactly, but it was in the Haggis deal
The
maybe.
Zanoni, it was the Zanoni deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, that might be
It
correct.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, there was two each way, so it was part of a deal. Yeah, but for me, I'm not a massive fan of many of his players, but I'm a massive fan of how he's got them playing and where they are in the league. 4th place. He's doing a great job, just like he did last season. To be fair, because I could have probably sat here and said the same about the Panathinaikos side. There's one or two I'm not massively keen on, but they did us over in the playoffs, and I'm sure he'll be more than happy with 4th at the minute.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, Mac is happy with top 6, so definitely. We can see the Valgarin absolutely having a stormer so far, as Steve Wright mentions, and I think someone else mentioned in the chat. Fifey's moaning that he didn't get enough airtime after his 4-3 victory, so we'll have another chat about that later,
Tell
Susie.
you what, he had enough airtime bloody on Sunday. My bloody battery dying with him talking for 2 hours 20 minutes.
I completely agree, mate. Completely agree. Right, Spartak Sloths. We are looking at now, and Martin Palermo's coming up top for Del Piero. Apart from that, it's pretty much the same lineup, which has been scoring goals for fun. And obviously, the main man Neil Scally, currently after 5 games, averaging a 9. Diego, David Collins, Maradona, absolutely firing goals in. The old guard at the back in Kamara and Desai. Yeah, are you a fan of the Sloths lineup?
Yeah, it's that same thing again that a couple of sides have got where the centre halves, if you're in sort of season 2, season 3, you're sort of looking at them and thinking, I'm not so sure, but season 1 they can do a job. He's got good wingers. His 3 DMCs are very solid. David Collins, I'm a big fan of. Maybe just shy of goals up front, but that doesn't matter if Collins is scoring a couple every week. You get away with that.
Not at all. Completely agree. Right, Fulchester versus Spartak. What's your prediction this evening, mate? And predictions in the
I'm gonna
chat, please.
go. I'm gonna go. The first draw tonight.
Go for the
Score
first
draw.
draw. Score draw. Ronaldo Angelado for Palermo. I'm more than happy with. I think Steve Wright might have absolutely lost the plot there. I wouldn't be selling Ronaldo. Anyway, I'll go in 1-1. Scott Sadler 3-3. A lot of people joining on as well. Dimbo's going for a 3-1 home win, as is Steve Wright. But then we've got Edwards going a home win. A couple of 4-2 away wins from Tato Mourinho and the Devils. Jens is going for a 3-2 home win. And Maka saying he's going to roll them all over. Wings are worry here. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to get rolled over. Maka, ever the optimist, in playing down
Yeah,
to the team.
he's never backed one of his sides, has he?
Never. You look like Rustini hit the post there. I always get freaked out. And Saviola has scored after 6 minutes. What a start that is for Fulchester. Z Roberto coming back in there. Seen Maradona's name a couple of times. Gamara given a warning. See that then. Fiore had a shot there. Looks like it's kind of going both ways, this one. And Palermo knocks it wide. Z Roberto's in this game a lot, which isn't good news, but it's come from the other side, the equaliser. Salahamovic, definitely one of Palmer's picks, getting the equaliser. Sloths look like they're kind of taking control of this, in my opinion, here. But I mean, Fulchester do have Veron, and it's quite a long first half that, and quite an even one. Both teams with 5 shots on, 3 on target. Fulchester 4 for Sloths. A lot of it played down in Fulchester's area though, despite them having a lot of possession, mate. Whew. Right, take a breath.
Not much in that first half.
Not
Fairly
at all.
even.
Not at all. And I've just someone just mentioned there it's a full house. The C-suite of Crumpton Oaks Park getting the first full house, I think, of the season, which is interesting to see. Quick look at how the goals went in. It's Rossini's shot rebounded to Saviola, and Saviola blast in the top corner. Equaliser coming from a David Collins shot, which Buffon couldn't hold on to, and Salahanovic picking the loose ball. Not too sure what he's doing that far forward, but the Sloths will take it. Spartak's first half, not the best in terms of ratings wise.
No, I think sort of looking at that, they'll be delighted to be one apiece at half time. It's like you say, Rossini hit the post in the first couple of minutes, then after 6 minutes they were 1-0 up. So it could have been sort of not put to bed early doors, but they could have been 2-0 down after 5 minutes, and instead they won all at half time without really playing particularly well. So I think they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, and Greasy just mentioned there Neil Scally on a 6. Maybe that kind of storming start to the season might be coming to an end. Fulchester slightly better in terms of ratings, but not much. Scholes and Rossini down on 6. Apart from that, it's a lot of 7s and a couple of 8s in the middle. Maka, you having any subs, mate? Interesting. Potato Mourinho asking if Scally's run is over. It looks like it might be, unless he has a stormer in this second half. I think if you look at the ratings across both teams, it's not been the best first half, and that kind of showed itself in the stats. Definitely not the worst that we've seen either, but
No, I think if you're looking at it, the best player on the pitch is standing up for Fulchester, and that's probably the only difference.
yeah.
They're on getting an 8 in there, and where Spartak are maybe lacking an 8 in their midfield. But other than that, as we expected, I think a very close game.
Yeah, Mac is like commenting, but he's not commenting on whether he wants any fucking subs. Come on, Mac, let me holding us up, mate. You're holding us up.
I don't think he's going to do much there, looking at his bench and looking at his numbers.
No, I don't think so either. But I mean, if you could just say no, that'd be good. Keep as is. Thank you very much, mate. Right, let's kick off this second half. See how we get on. And Scholes to Okan. Giggs puts it in the box. Scholes again. Okan shoots wide. It's all Fulchester so far. But then Palermo just put one wide. And looks like Okan's getting the yellow card now. And Rivaldo gets the goal after 61 minutes. This kind of triggered an onslaught in the first half. Will that happen again? Doesn't look like it. Looks more like Fulchester are taking control. Saviola shoots down low, well saved. And that is it. As flew by
Nice
that
win.
second half. And it looks like Fulchester just really took the game by the scruff of the neck. 15 shots, 9 on target. Pass completion and headers won and tackles won way above that of Spartak. Still a lot in Fulchester's area, but all that possession obviously paying dividends in the end. Quick look at that goal before we have a look at the teams. And it's an Okan attempt. I know we had a couple I saw there. Picks up, Abiati couldn't graphically lead it, and Rivaldo picks the simple finish. What a performance from that! It's a good second half performance there from Macca's boys.
Yeah, they've stepped it up a little bit, and obviously deserve the 3 points there. I'm sure Rob will be delighted with Rivaldo scoring the winner, because he was part of his Slough side last year, and he had him doing all sorts of things with farmyard animals and in the reserves and stuff. So I'm sure
Yeah,
that'll be making
one
it a
of
little bit worse for him.
Yeah, one of my favourite all-time players, absolutely world class. Um, we had him at well,
See,
we had him at the
he's
Reebok
another one.
one, but he never actually
He's
signed the
another one.
deal.
Sorry. Yeah, he's another one for me who he just on the game he wasn't portrayed as good as he was in real life because I think it was a sort of a brief period, maybe like the end of the 90s, early 2000s. He was probably the best player in the world, wasn't
In my opinion, definitely. And I know after he was at Barcelona, he came over to Bolton and went for Big Sam Allardyce's boys, and bar a last minute hiccup, would have been signed for Bolton, which would have been interesting to see. But that's one of the things that almost happened but never did. Um, Absolutely devastating performance from Neil Scally has cost Spartak the game. Do you
he?
agree?
Yeah, he's been chasing shadows there, hasn't he? Rivaldo, man of the match with a 9 and a goal, up against Neil Scally with a 5 and a yellow card, and yeah, all good things come to an end, unfortunately, for Rob and Mr. Palmer. He's had a fantastic run, and I don't think they'll do anything too rash. I'm sure he'll be out next week.
Yeah, Diego Maradona as well. Big Davy Collins though at a six. Martin Palermo at a six. Not really getting going attacking wise in that second half. Collins looked like I mean, his stats don't look too bad in reality. His pass completion's good, but it just really hasn't got in the game in an attacking sense. And the player that I think that Sloss really need to tick to kind of throw that attacking where it's Z Roberto and he's down on a six, which obviously um, isn't ideal. Right, let's move on. Well done to Maka, and lucky to Rob and Joe. And we have got a seven, which we can't do because that's you. We got a seven again, and we have got a one, which is Asta versus Haggis. Are you looking forward to this one, mate?
Always, mate. Yeah, always.
Always. And we've got Asta Tactic 3. He's brought Ivan Zamorano in from the reserves. Obviously, Del Vecchio got a goal last time out. Zef Guardiola is captain. It's a very Alf lineup, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, he's sort of gone back to what he knows in there. I'm kind of surprised. He was saying start of the season how he had like 10 DMCs, all these DMCs, and I don't know. I'm surprised at them. If it's so many, that them three would be the best options. I'm not a massive
Yeah,
Guardiola fan. Takinardi's not a bad player. I don't mind him.
he's
But
dropped
yeah,
Luzhny to the reserves. I know that. He's got Jan Cheddar as well, Liverani, who's dropped out of the team. Alf is definitely one for rotation. Raymer as well. I don't think he's played yet. Um, so he definitely does have options in that position. Um,
yeah,
the kind of big kind of call is basically he's not scored in the reserves, but he scored four on international duty.
yeah.
Ian
Who are they playing
Zamorano comes
against?
into the lineup.
The American Samoa and Fiji.
Yeah, yeah, they are playing those kind of teams, and they. But I mean, you can only beat who's in front of you, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's definitely a different option to Thierry Henry. He brings something a little bit different in that front line, and obviously Henry's still involved, playing a little bit deeper. Um, Alf has always got a tune out of that formation, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
And here is pure decadence from Ian, who and I've changed his what do you call it? Changed his formation a couple of times. Obviously, he took on board the advice of everyone after he had a couple of poor games and gone with more midfielders rather than defensive midfielders. Are you a fan of
Yeah,
this? Are you a fan of this lineup? A fan
yeah,
of the players?
it's definitely better. I mean, we played them when we beat them. They were still playing the 5 DMCs and the 2 defenders. And after that game, he actually rung me up and he says, "Look, I don't know what to do here. I'm stuck. I don't know." I said, "Look, you need to get a little bit more creativity in there. You need to stop playing 8 men behind the halfway line." And he's took my advice on board, and they've pulled off 2 brilliant wins, find themselves top of the league, and they're even getting goals out of Salah. So
Yeah,
I think we've both done well there, to be honest, with that one.
yeah. I think after that game you mentioned, I think you're not the only one he rang. I think he rang up me and he had a sounded like he had a frog in his throat and tears in his eyes. He was like, Ryan, I don't know what to do,
Yeah,
mate.
Yeah.
So it's good that he's gone round to the other Super League managers and kind of begging for advice on what to do with his world class 11, and he's taken that on board. Um, I think that's what he needed to do, really, which was kind of listen to other people, which is what he's done. And doing fair play since then, obviously he's top of the league, and he's done that on the back of other people's advice, um, which is I know it might be hard to take for him. He's a bit. Do you
I
reckon he's quite confident now in his lineup? Do you reckon, are you predicting them to get the win tonight?
I think they'll get the win tonight. Yeah. 1 to 11 for me. They're stronger than Astor, and like you say, now he's playing a proper formation. I would fancy the Hunters to carry on and
He's
pick 3 points up here.
interesting. After putting about 10,000 messages in the chat today, he's actually absent from the stream so far. Devils going for a 2-0 Haggis win. I know Devils big Haggis fans. McLaughlin among the Haggis. Jens going for a draw, as is Steve Wright. Greaves it and Dimble going for Astor wins. So, opinion, they're joining yourself with Astor win. Let's see how they get on.
I think Astor definitely need the 3 points a little bit more.
Yeah,
Now.
and it has been. I mean, teams that need it seem to be getting it. And guess what?
Yeah,
Ivan
there he is.
Zamorano has just scored. Wow, this is incredible. And Marco Del Vecchio gets the next one. It's 2-0 after 15 minutes. It looks like both teams are having efforts here. Spectacular drive. Which Henri getting one disallowed there. Can they get one back before half time? Doesn't look like it. And Henri gets a third. What is going on?
Yeah,
I'm
some
actually,
guy.
I'm actually a
I'm
bit
gonna be up. Sorry, go on.
I'm actually a bit speechless, mate. Yeah, it's been all Astor. 7 shots, 5 on target versus 1 shot on target from the 3 for Haggis. Um, more possession for Astor. I mean, it's been slightly more in Astor's area there, but yeah, 3-0 at half time. Shevchenko cross for Zamorano. Zamorano header saved by Casillas and finished by Del Vecchio. And Henri off a Guardiola pass, but it looks like he took on a couple of players. And yeah, that's absolutely dominant. I can't actually believe what I'm seeing here. Haggis, mate, what's going on?
Oh, I'm going to be up very late on this phone again tonight. How it looks at this. Um, yeah, nobody's doing anything in there. I
Is that
can't
the
really.
worst? Is that the worst first half performance we've seen so far? That Patrick Vieira with a 6, Jaap Stam with a 5.
Yeah, probably ever. I think. I mean, I said many times last season, Vieira for me, first half didn't put performances in. He was quite often on a 6, and then second half he'd finish on an 8. Uh, um, you, sorry, you just don't see where that's going to come from with the rest of the players around him doing so poorly. Yeah, it's a strange one because they were so comfortable last week, and there's from what I can see, there's nothing really, not much too different in there, and they've been given a bit of a touching up here by Asta.
Touching up is right. Quick look over at Astor. Alf, if you've got any subs, if you could get them in the chat there, mate. And that's been a rock solid first half performances, 8s and 9s across the board. Alf saying the best has rattled them as predicted. Haggis are rattled, it looks like. Campbell saying he's fucked up with his tactics. I'm not too sure if it was Mr. Campbell's tactics and he's kind of gone against the advice that he's been searching out from the rest of us, then
That makes a
might,
bit of sense.
it does make more sense, doesn't it? If he's gone with it
Yeah,
with an Ian special, then you can kind of expect these things. I've not seen anything from Tato Mourinho for a while. I wonder if he's still with us or he's under a rock somewhere. I don't know. Alf,
they've
any
nearly Asta have nearly scored more goals than Thierry Henry's had touches.
that is true. It doesn't look like they've had too much of the ball, does it? Probably a similar story to Haggis, really. I best stop going in on Haggis, otherwise he'll get a bit kind of I don't know, a bit upset. So it's I
to be
can't.
fair,
I'm still in shock, mate.
there's no excuses here. I know he comes and he says, "Oh, everyone's picking on me," and he'll hold his hands up here. He's an honest fella. He'll hold his hands up here. There's no defence in this. They've got to go out now, second half, and try and get Astor early on, because if they don't get in early on, they're going to run out of time because they need 4 goals here.
And let's see how they get on. We got a yellow card early on for Southgate. Looks like more Astor though, if I'm being honest. 53 minutes gone. Rui Costa, Henri having a shot, and Henrik Larsson going off injured. Not what they would have wanted.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope that's not serious.
no, so do I. Yeah. Um, I'm looking at that. I'm saying Louis Saha's the obvious option, playing the forward. I'm assuming that's what he wants me to do. Yes, Saha for Larsson. Um, let's see what happens here. Not really looking like they're coming back into it too much more. 62 minutes gone. Salas getting the ball though, near post. Shevchenko shoots over. Candela half volley I saw there. Oh, and there is Louis Saha actually off the bench, getting one back. It looks like with 10 minutes to go, they're going to have to do it now though, if they're going to do it. Oh, and Henri has kind of closed that door, making it 4-1. I didn't really see how that went in. What a
He
game this
went
has
off
been.
his shit. Yeah, it's a fantastic performance from Alf. Is that
Yeah,
he'll be delighted with that.
Haggis come into it quite a bit second half, but um, yeah, it's still. I mean, you can't take anything away from that performance there from Alf. Obviously, 1-1 second half, 3-0 first half. A lot more possession, a lot more in Haggis's final third. Let's look at the first half before. Mendes to Larsson, no idea what the injury was. Salah sent the shot in low, and Peruzzi parried. Saha banged it in, and Hippie a 45-yard ball upfield, which Henri picked up, advanced, and then banged in the back of the net.
That's why
Let's
there's not many
let's look at.
touches then.
Yeah, but I mean they've had a lot more touches second half. What a performance that is
Yeah,
tonight.
they
So
have
well done,
actually.
Alfred.
Yeah, it's another one of those performances where there's nothing to complain about, is it? There, Southgate's had a 6, but that's because he's not had too much to do. Sammy Hippie's obviously been picking up the centre forward. Yeah, fantastic, great result.
And a quick look at Haggis. Don't want to dwell on it too much. Didier Agat, the pick of the bunch. Louis Saha coming off the bench. Better performance second half. Um, Back to the drawing board for Ian. I mean, Ian will be confident he's got the squad that's going to kind of be up there. I'm sure this will be a minor blip on their record, but not the best performance tonight. And he'll need better performances from players like Casillas, Stam, Vieira, if he's going to win week in, week out. As he kind of, as I'm sure you'll agree, that Haggis are a team that have that ability.
I think in his defence, this is going to happen to every team at some point. The league's so even, and if you have an off day and somebody has a little bit of a special day, it'll happen. I mean, I've beat sides 3-0 and I've been beat 3-0, and we're only after 5 games. I think everybody's maybe going to get a little bit of a humbling at some point.
Yeah, Ian said that he's stated his thought with the tactic, and he will win in the next game 100%. Next up, we go to the Fjords, and we go to Hull's Vikings, who have gone with an unchanged tactic, I believe, but they put Nicky Ferenko in for who was there? Someone else was there. Danielson. After Nicky Ferenko came off the bench and scored last week. What do you make of this? A bit more I mean, we've seen it a couple of times from Craig at Hornets in the past, but is this something that you go for?
Well, it worked last week, and what I've noticed from it is it seems that maybe it's sort of like a third or fourth choice tactic, in that he hasn't maybe got the personnel that suits it 100%. I think if he gets results with the players he's got playing like this, then in the transfer window he looks and think, well, I need a left back. I could do the right back, so I can play Thuram at centre half, and he sort of builds around, I think he's got a lot of potential because there's certain players he's got who it fits already, and there's, like I say, it's just a case of strengthening a couple of positions. Great win last week, or Sunday. Stalko and Van Nistelrooy have got goals in them. Nicky Ferenko's got goals in them. Beckham, I know a lot of people don't like him, but he can make a lot of assists. And Dye's a great player. So yeah, I think he's sort of onto something, and I think it'll only get better when he's allowed to bring a couple of players in that maybe suit this formation a little bit better.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think he did a lot of his pre-season work was geared towards a narrow formation, which obviously had a kind of horrific start to the campaign, and obviously he's kind of gone away from that now. Um, Quick look at Lokomotiv Boston, who we were talking about at the start of the game. They've got that core. He's brought in Shorter Arveladze attacking midfield. Is that something you would be in favour of?
I wouldn't. I no. I wouldn't have him in the 24. I don't think.
No. Obviously, Ajax at the start of the game. Not a player which I'm a huge fan of. Obviously, I've spoken already quite affectionately about this kind of midfield diamond, whoever he plays as the kind of three and the strike post there. He's brought Klompe in as well at back, but I think Lewerson, who's been playing the previous games, I think Klompe, although he's quite young, is still a decent player. Lewerson having a couple of sevens and a six with his, and they might have dropped him. Um, yeah, I
He's
think
got
it's
some very strong DMCs.
yeah, he does.
Ramallah and Petit don't even make the squad at all today. So he's got some strength and depth in that position.
He does. Indeed, I completely agree. He's that's fine. Right, let's have a quick look at predictions for this one, gents. Maka saying Klompe's class, Avaladze is Dossa. What do you think of this one, mate?
I'm going to go for a home win.
This is two new boys. I'm not too sure if this has happened before. This might be the first time two new boys have come head to head. Obviously, Lokomotiv have made a better start,
Yeah,
but Vikings won last week, whereas Lokomotiv only got a draw. So, Mr. Edwards saying Hould second win on the bounce. Dimbo's going for a 3-2 Lokomotiv win. Fifey on the fence with a draw. Maka saying he wouldn't mind a Hool's win. Uh, uh, Stephen Wright going for a 2-2. And Alf saying a win for the inform Jens. But I'm not too sure of inform after one victory. But do you mean if he gets the win tonight, then I'm sure he will be. I'm going to kick this one off and get my breath. 1 minute gone, but there's a lot of text so far, kind of both between both sides. I've seen Lucas Radaby and Lilian Thuram's name mentioned a couple of times. Van Nistelrooy on the ball now. Now it looks like Elba's getting through on the goal for Lokomotiv, and Van
oh, Van
Nistelrooy opens the scoring um, for Hulls Vikings. And Lucas Radaby, Leeds legend
Jeez.
Lucas Radaby, gets the second. It looks like Hulls are off to a flyer here. And a quick look at how we get on with the second half of the first half. Not too much more happening, a bit more back and forward. Beckham with a chance there. They need a goal now. They haven't got one now. It's 2-0 to Hulls at half time. All Hulls, yeah?
Yeah, it's a great performance. I mean, it's nice to see that Hulls have come in, they've struggled, and unlike the old regime, they've reacted to that and are now getting results. And you just saw, maybe, no disrespect to Thiago, but you just think maybe this is what you should have done at times. But obviously he didn't, and this is why Jens is here. And yeah, it's great performance half time, fairly in control.
Beckham to Lucas Radaby for the second goal. Lucas Radaby, are you a big fan of him?
Yeah, yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he, Lucas Radaby? Everybody loves Lucas at Leeds. Another one, again, that sort of thing. We have mentioned it a lot tonight. The older centre half who can do a job first couple of seasons.
It's something we haven't had in the kind of previous iterations of the Super League. Um, but it looks like we're going to have this time. Obviously, we're hoping that we're going to get some regens. Quickly looks at the Locomotive side there. It's not the best first half performances. A lot of sixes, couple of sevens for Kwadza and Bath Bears. He'll be open for a lot more. He's gone for a substitution, which is Casano for Shota Arveladze. Got to say, I completely agree with you there. I'm not too big fan of Casano really, but he's definitely better than Shota Arveladze in my book. Quick look over to Hools and a much better all sevens and an eight for Sol Campbell. Really, really solid. Again, not too many touches of the ball. Any subs there for Jens? I've not seen him in the chat for a while, so if he's nothing that comes to the forefront, then I will keep it as it is. What do you think of that first half there from Hools?
Yeah, they just got out and got the job done, haven't they? Everybody stood up and sort of done a steady job in there. There's been
Yeah,
no amazingly standout performances, but they're 2-0 up at half time, and I don't think you could ask for much more than that.
completely agree. I mean, that's just pretty much as good as it gets. Right, let's restart this. Fifey saying Greavesy won't be panicking just yet. But it looks like a strong start again for Hull. So the longer this goes on, he might be starting to panic, especially when David Beckham puts one in the back of the net. What a performance this is from Hull, sticking with that formation after the win at Gazelles last week. Overmars trying to fire back. And there's Maxim Tizalco with his first goal for Hull's. What a performance this is! This is Hull's arriving, isn't it?
Yeah, they have with a bang there. It'll be interesting to see how Mr. Cizalco goes now. He's got his first goal, and he's going to get himself on a bit of a run because we know that the potential's there.
Yeah, Mr. Palmer was in the chat before. I know he's had him scoring 1,300 goals, I believe, in his career. Not too sure if he'll get that many in the Super League, but he's finally broke his duck there. His defence is the thing you want to kind of look at there. Only can let him Locomotive every one shot the entire game whilst getting 7 shots on target themselves. Absolutely nothing in their final third. So there might be something to that back four.
Yeah, I think
I know
are they the only side that play a back four?
so far in this Super League, yeah, and basically that's
Yeah,
a 100% win record. They won last week with a back four, and they've won again this week. And Champman Swan's been doing the stats, which are very interesting read. And
yeah.
that's as good as it gets. 4-0 after a tricky away win. Let's have a quick look at how it went in. Beckham
Uh,
collected the ball after Klompe nicked it from Van Nistelrooy. And then we've got Beckham again knocking across in from the right and Tizalco scoring. Um, David Beckham, the main man today.
yeah, I probably shouldn't have let him go. Yeah, 2 assists and a goal, 10 rating, great performance. One thing I did notice is that Hulls were completely dominant in the air, which again is effectively playing 4 big centre halves across that back four, which has probably helped them being very dominant in the air.
That is left back and right back. Jens says never gets more than a 7. That was a quote from Mr. Parama last week, and then they both got an 8, and they both got an 8 again. So I don't think yeah, I don't think he can complain too much about that. A quick glance over at Boston, not wanting to dwell on it too much, but it needs to be seen to be believed, really, how kind of they didn't turn up. Overmars, the best of the bunch, and he barely touched the ball. Sixes across the board, 5 for Effenberg, who's had such a strong start to the season. Casano came on at half time for Avaladze, but didn't really improve his lot. Yeah, I think it's a job well done for Cools and a day to forget for Greavesy.
Yeah, fortunately for Greaves, it's his first off day, so I think he can just try and forget about that, move on next week, and hopefully get back to picking some points up.
Indeed. I think Ian's in the chat, and we arrive finally at Leddersford. Your boys at home to Northern Burn, and this is what you're facing this week. He's gone with both Crespo and Kesman. This fill you with confidence?
It's a good side. I like his wing backs, George and Zambrota. Yeah, it's very solid. I think we pointed out last week. Maybe Alex is the weak point, but he's not a bad weak point, is he? He's not He's not terrible.
Not a bad player at all, in my opinion.
Probably more worried about Kesman than Crespo this week because he's been scoring plenty of goals, hasn't he?
Crespo's made a really good start. I know he kind of edged Crespo out of the team after Crespo started the season with a slight injury. Let's proceed to the match. Mr. Edwards happy there. And let's have a look at your boys. You're sticking with the kind of chalk and cheese formation, which you made you won 3-0 victories. Then you were getting beaten by Mr. Fifey of Swindon. I think a lot of people, I think I mentioned on the chat last week, like loving the symmetry of it.
Yeah, I think it'd be foolish to throw it away after one bad result when it's produced two good results. So we are sticking with it because of
Yeah.
that. I knew he was going to play two up front and the one centre half. That could be a problem, but we're just going to sort of hope that we're at home and we don't let him have too much ball. But that is a slight concern. Although last week Fifey played one up front and it worked. So yeah.
I think sometimes we look too much into that stuff, don't we?
Definitely.
I know I definitely do. Macca's alluding to the 181 variation. Need that link man into the M though. So he's trying to say that you should have Vogel or Sorochinsky in centre midfield, and should be going all gung ho like he was against Slavs. But it's worked well for you so far. I'm a big fan of Robbie Keane and that attacking midfield position and Echeverria. Two absolutely class, and I kind of did everything I could last season to bring Decor to the Phoenix, and he had an absolutely tremendous season. Obviously, Nesta goes up to being one of the best players on the game.
I think it is just sort of like these are my best 11 players. Now, what formation can I play to fit them all in? I mean, you could argue Montella should be up front. It's literally just that Morientes is in better form. I do prefer Montella. But yeah, it was just sort of like, I want to get
For me, I'd say of those four I've got on screen there, I'd probably put Morientes fourth. But he's the only one who's scored, I think, so far this season. So I'm not to knock your choice there.
scored first game.
Has he? Right, sorry.
Yeah.
And obviously Trezeguet, you're not a huge fan of. I know people are after
No.
strikers. He might be someone that you consider letting go. Juliano's had two solid games, but obviously he doesn't really fit into this formation, so I understand why he's been kind of left out.
Yeah, he would be on the bench. He's a better centre half than Patazoglu, but Patazoglu covers the 3 DMCs and the centre half. That's why he's left out at the minute.
Yep. Right, Mac is saying abundance of riches. Obviously, I know your prediction, Haji. You're going for a triumphant home victory. Any predictions in the chat? I'll score in one apiece. I think, I mean, in previous seasons, I've had a commentator's curse. So far this season, I don't think the co-commentator has lost a game, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. But you do have Fifey's backing with a 2-1 victory, as Steve Wright's backing. Dimble's going for Northern Burn, though. Maka defending Trezeguet after Stevie Wright slagged him off. And then Maka's going for Northern Burn. Right, let's kick this off and see how this first half goes. And both directions, really. It's going. I've seen Sorin on the ball a couple of times, Volodenko on the ball now. And Robbie Keane puts one in, but someone was offside, so it doesn't count. Van Bommel in possession and someone going past Nesta there for Northern Burn. Looks like it really is going both directions. Crespo's been on the page a couple of times, Jajatos as well. And it looks like Alex, who we mentioned as a potential weak link in Northern Burn's side, who's opened the scoring after 27 minutes. Lee Chum-Soo does got a penalty and scored a penalty, though, to equalise it. So you were not behind for long. Crespo having an attempt there, Zambrotta putting it in, and someone had a great chance for you who have slightly missed. What a first half this has been. Yeah, one apiece at half time. It looks like Northern Burn slightly edged it in terms of chances, but you've had a couple yourself, and of course got the equaliser 6-3 with shots on target. Headers is concerning for you though, isn't it?
Yeah, have we got a little team? Just trying to think how big they are. Maybe there's some little fellas in there Well, we're
Yeah,
lumping it up to Chun-Su and Robbie Keane and not winning too much. But no, I've a lot of respect for Mr. Edwards and his side, and I'm happy at the minute to be in the game at one apiece, half time.
yeah. Petkov knocked the ball into the area. Alex kind of out jumping the goalkeeper, not what you want to see.
No.
Lee Chun-Soo got fouled by Toldor, and I think Toldor not having the best of starts to the season. Um, but then Lee Chun-Soo obviously taking that penalty as well. I'll have a quick look at Northern Burn first, and Ian can tell me if he wants any subs. Matt Van Bommel, who saw his name quite a lot in the commentary there, looks like he's had a really good first half. Gerard's been involved a lot, both winning tackles. Um, yeah, I think he'll be concerned that he hasn't got a goal from one of his strikers, and Kesman, as he has done in previous games, not really had many shots off and not really had a very effective first half. Sevens, sixes. I'd say it's an average. It's a solid first half without actually being um, overwhelming. It's a very similar story for Leddersford.
Yeah, it's steady away really. Johan Vogel's been pretty good for us. I think pretty much every week he gets an 8. I think he's had a 9 and 3/8, something like that. He's been a very steady player for us.
Yeah, really good start
Uh,
to the season. Montella, is he an option at half time? I know I can see Sorry, who I saw his name mentioned quite a lot, but looks like he's not actually touched the ball that much and got a 6. Morientes getting a 7, although he's not had any shots on target. Lee Chun-Soo seems
yeah,
to
I
be
think
their only threat.
we'll give Montella 45 up top in place of Morientes. Just in hope that he can spark his season into life. I'll hold my hands up. I've got away with that a little bit because I had Montella set as penalty taker, and obviously he wasn't on, so I was quite fortunate that it was Chun-Soo and not somebody else who may have missed, a more defensive player.
Potato Mourinho saying, bring on Peter Penrith. Do you understand that one? I don't think I understand that one.
Peter Penrice, yeah, Peter Penrice is a good friend of mine.
Ah,
Is
right.
that Taylor Marino? That
Yeah, it is, yeah.
yeah.
So let's kick off the second half, the last half of this evening. And chance early on, Volodenkov, Lee Chun-Soo again involved. He's having a really good season so far. Looks like you started this one really good. Maserazzi clearing to Rosette, but Lee Chun-Soo cannot be stopped. Neither can Hernan Crespo. It's gone from to 2-1 to 2-2. 10 minutes to go. Someone mentioned 2-2 in the chat. Petkov, Gerard into the box. Crespo hitting it in low. Could go either way. This really could. Last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a sucker punch for somebody here.
Ooh, and Olivia Decore's injured for you. Straight one for Pat. That's ugly.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's a couple of minutes anyway. And there we are, final whistle. It's a Desmond, as Tato Mourinho suggested. Happy with that?
Yeah, I am. To be fair, I'm sure Ian's going to be disappointed because it's another draw, but I think it was pretty even game. I know they've had a few more shots on target, but I think we set off in the second half really well. Maybe could have been fortunate with a penalty, but we had one disallowed. So yeah, I think I'm fairly happy with that one. Maybe would have liked 3 points with it being at home, but yeah, it's a decent result.
Yeah, you've had more possession and it's been in their final third quite a lot, but as you kind of suggested, not too many shots on target. Lots of free kicks though, which I think is the most we've had this evening. Let's have a quick look at the goals, how they went in the second half. Sorin knocked the ball down for Lee Chun-Soo, and then it looks like it's been Kesman and Crespo kind of linking up, and Crespo putting the ball back, and Ian will be happy that Crespo's off the mark. Do you want to have a quick look, talk through your team there? 2 goals for Lee Chun-Soo, man of the match.
Yeah, he's been really impressive for us, to be honest. I think that's 4 for him now this season. I think. As I said, at half time, Bogle has been our most consistent player. Montella didn't do a great deal when he came on, but he didn't disappoint. So I've probably got a little bit of an headache with who to start up front in the next game. But yeah, no brilliant, but nothing to be too disappointed about.
Yeah, similar story as we look across to Northern Burn. I don't think any kind of poor performances, but nothing outstanding. You'd be happy with that kind of Taldor's kind of returning to a bit of form after he got that five a couple of weeks ago. And it's been a frustrating draw, wasn't it, for Ian, really? Because he's how many draws
Yeah,
has he had now? So I think that's five draws out of his first six games. He's the only team yet to get a W on the board. Yet you can look at it, he's probably had the better match stats in about three of those six games. So he can definitely find himself a little bit hard done by. Alex and what do you call it? Alex and Crespo with the goals, assists for Petkoff and Kesman. Um, yeah, it's been a good game and it's been a good evening. Another draw there at the end. Let's have a quick look at the results. Obviously, the big one, the kind of the shock one, you might say, after steamrolling Haggis Hunters, Bostock went straight over Gazelles as well. Hull's Vikings took Boston to the sword. Devils with a huge game in that slobber knocker against Dragons. Dudley Hill outperformed Churchtown and deserved that. Fulchester second half performance was the difference against Spartak Slavs, and yourselves with the only draw of the season. What was your standout performance of the night?
I think it has to be Astor. I think. Yeah, Astor or Hulls. I mean, both very convincing wins. Maybe just because Astor were playing the best team the Super League's ever seen. It maybe just gives them get a little bit of a nod. Fife up in third. The league table's upside down.
What
Well
is
done,
going
Pat.
on, eh? Yeah, and it says a lot. I mean, Northern Burn have only lost one game, yet they're bottom of the table alongside Churchtown down there on 5 points. You mean, but 5 points is only two wins away from the top of the table. It is so tight. Leadersford drop out of the top six. That concern for you?
No, not really. 3 points off top. Yeah, no, not at all. I think it would have been hard for either myself or Ian had the other one pinched a late goal and won that 3-2.
Yeah, completely understand that. Quick looking at best, I don't know, there's no real surprises. Fulchester and Bostock at the top of the league on points. Bostock obviously were top early on with a few wins, had a couple of games that now bounced back after that defeat last week. Haggis only a point away, even though the goal difference is 2 knocks tonight. Two teams winning tonight, kind of Astor and Hools, who they've basically had what we might class as poor starts to the season, but look like they're starting to get a bit of form now. Um, Churchtown and Northern Burn seem to be doing a lot of things okay, but not too much great. And probably the same can be said about Gazelles as well, who you just don't know, they just can't seem to get going, can they?
No, I'm surprised at Gazelles because Craig's sort of got a little bit of a history. When he has a decent side, he does well, and I think he has got a decent side. Plenty of successful players from the last Super League as well in his side. But I'm sure I don't think there's anything concerning for anybody there. I mean, who's at bottom of the league? Is it
Who's at what,
yeah,
sorry?
Northern Burn bottom of the league. They've lost once all season,
Yeah,
so
you got
I
to
don't
look at.
think anyone's going to be panicking yet.
No, and I've got to think if they'd have won that game, they'd have been, do you mean, 2 points outside the playoffs kind of thing. It's so close kind of thing. It's Swindon. I'm gonna look at the stats here. I'll look at some stats in a minute, Alf. Swindon Devils are up in third with the most goals conceded, joint with Haggett, Dragons, and Hools. Um, so a quick look. That's absolutely ecstatic with our start. Fixtures. Another newbie versus newbie as Dudley take on the inform now and class it as in form. He's won 2 games on the trot. Bulls Vikings, Gazelles versus Dragons, Haggis versus Fulchester. Could we see a 2-7-1 derby? You're at home to Alf, who's just absolutely hammered the Haggis. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, but we absolutely hammered the Haggis as well, didn't we? So that's probably going to be a draw.
Yes, if that's where we're looking at things.
I can't
Locomotive
believe it's taken me an hour and a half to mention that.
to what? To mention
That I
Leathersford.
hammered Haggis.
I put it up on screen before. I did allude to it.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I think we're two teams that are sort of winning as much as we lose and drawing as much as we win. So it's be an interesting one.
Scheduled game 7 comes kind of 3 days after. So for the managers in there, you might have a few condition issues, but I'll send the packs out as soon as I can. The team stats, not really meaning too much so far. Who are the Dirty Boys? Dudley Hill, the Dirty Boys of the league so far, whereas Leathersford and Churchtown only with 4 yellers. Are you soft tackling that? Is that something that you do?
No, I don't. Maybe on a few individuals, a few naughty individuals get altered, but I just noticed that average attendance seemed to be flocking to come and watch the old boys play.
Oh yeah, the marquee
Yeah.
pub to come and watch. Dragons, as you'd expect, it's not always the best viewing, so they're in the bottom. Astor, Swindon, Hools 1-2 on the bounce. Northern Burn 6 of 8 winning, but Churchtown won that first week and they haven't won since, so concerns maybe there. Top goal scorers Swindon, also the top conceded. Swindon, Hools, Bostock only conceded 6. Obviously that rock hard defence.
He was
Penalties.
very solid last year, wasn't he, Mac?
Yeah, yes, but that's how he sets up his teams. A lot of people in midfield. Average ratings, and it's actually from a player from the club at the bottom league, Sean Davis, who's had 3 games, got a 9 and 8 and an 8 of Northern Burn. Johan Vogel, as you mentioned, and Zé Roberto, as I mentioned, have really good starts to the season. Neil Scally has got his average a different way with some 4 9s and a 5, bringing it down to 8.7, 8.33. Any surprise names up there? Del Vecchio, and a couple of performances, put him up there. Let's have a quick look at what else there is. Goals. No real change at the top apart from Penza and Lee Chun-Soo kind of entered that top 5. Obviously not catching quite up to Collins and Madeira, but it's a lot tighter now. More players that you'd expect kind of coming into the fray. Barry Ferguson, Thierry Henry, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and also Henrik Larsson, although he has picked up an injury, so interesting to see how long he's out for. Zé Roberto continuing with being Mr. Assist. Anything else that anyone wants to have a quick look at, and please give me a quick shout, and I'll do that straight away. Anything you want to look at, Haji?
No, I don't think so. No, I think you've covered everything there.
Yeah. I mean, this is always a bit of a bullshit team of the week, but it would have been for last week, I think, would it? Yeah, Saturday the 3rd. Not really done one for this week yet, so try to ignore that. Alfbridge wants to see goalkeeper stats. So you've got Peruzzi, Buffon, and Barthez, no surprise in at the top there. And Jog puts in a good start for yourself. Down at the bottom, Casillas of Haggis and Canizares is down there as well. Maybe an issue for them. Sebastian Frey, who usually one of the top goalkeepers, but he's conceded a lot of goals so far this season. Rob Douglas, who has started 4 of the 5 games for Gazelles, is down there. And I think the most surprising name, obviously, is Oliver Kahn, who's doing 2 5s. Has put him 15th and level bottom with Casillas. Not what you expect from what you class as probably the top goalkeeper on the game at the start.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't be expecting that, would you? A bit of a surprise.
Right, I'm going to call it there. I'm going to leave the fixtures on screen right at the end. But thanks a lot for coming on, Haji. Really appreciated talking to you. Any
Yeah,
predict-
thanks for having me, pal.
Nice predictions for the season. Are you guys going to win it? And if so, are you going to beat in the final?
I think I hope we'll make the 6, but I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be that type of person that was claiming that we're going to win it. There's a lot of games to go, and it's a very level playing field, and there'll be a lot of twists and turns, and it'll be interesting to follow it along the way.
Top man. Thanks a lot, mate. Great comms. As a few people have said in the comments, Mourinho and Alf all saying you've done a great job there, mate. So thank you very much. And I shall
Cheers,
catch up with you
guys.
soon, mate.
Nice one. Thank you, mate. See you later.